gonna call you later. Can you be my tutor? You about to feel like tussle. Can you be my tutor?
Hi, my name is Benjamin Mushabari, aka Mr. Mushabari, and today I am going to be your tutor, taking you through a revision class of the 2023 Financial Management Test 2, which was prepared by Mr. Kaira, who is a lecturer at the University of Zambia under the School of Humanities as well as the Graduate School of Business. The reason we're doing this is because we want to instill you with the necessary understanding of key concepts that will enable you to solve any financial management problem. We do not want you to be an alternative. Instead, we want you to be a priority so that whenever people are looking for someone to solve key fundamental problems in finance, they basically think of you. Anyway, without wasting much of your time, let's jump straight into the video and solve some financial management problems.
Hi, to begin with, we're going to start with question 1. The question is just on the left-hand side of my screen. I hope you can see it. So question 1 says, Mechopo Machips, that's a very weird name. Anyway, Mechopo Machips is considering 2 different saving plans. The first plan would have a deposit 5,000 kwacha every 6 months, and she would receive interest at 7% annual rate, compounded semi-annually. So she's making a payment or a deposit of 5,000 kwacha every 6 months, and she would receive interest at 7% annual rate, compounded semi-annually. So it's compounded twice in a year. Under the second plan, she would deposit 10,000 kwacha every year with a rate of interest of 7.5%, compounded annually. So she's making a deposit of 10,000 kwacha every year, right, with a rate of interest of 7.5%, which is compounded annually. So it's compounded once in a year. Okay, so that's that. Then the question further goes on to say the initial deposit with plan 1 would be 6 months from now. So which means that the first deposit will be made 6 months from now or 6 months from today. Okay, so that's at the end of this first 6 months. All right. And then with plan 2, the initial deposit will be made when? At the end of the year or a year from now. Okay, so that's what it's basically saying. Then what is required of us? So part A says, calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. Calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. Okay, then part B says, what is the future value of the second plan at the end of 10 years? What is the future value of the second plan at the end of 10 years? Then part C says, which plan should Mechopo Machips use, assuming that her only concern is with the value of saving at the end of 10 years? Which plan should Mechopo Machips use, assuming that her only concern is with the value of her saving at the end of 10 years? Okay, so that's the question. So in order for us to answer this question, we're going to start firstly by looking at part A, right? So part A, and what does part A say? Part A says calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. So we're being asked to calculate what? The future value. So this is what we do not know. But the question again here is the future value of what? Okay, what exactly are we dealing with? So are we dealing with a single stream, with a single cash flow, or are we dealing with a multiple stream of cash flows? Okay, that's the question that we need to answer right now. If we read through plan 1 or the first plan here, it says the first plan would have a deposit 5,000 kwacha every 6 months. The first plan would have a deposit 5,000 kwacha every 6 months. And then for how long? For 10 years. We know that in this case, this is a multiple stream of what? Of cash flows, because this is happening every after 6 months for a period of 10 years. We're depositing 5,000 kwacha every after 6 months for a period of 10 years. So that's an equal stream of cash flows coming in for a period of 10 years. So we know that we're dealing with an annuity. Okay, so now we know that we're dealing with an annuity, but what kind of annuity is this? To understand that, let's go back to the end of question 1 here, not the required part, just before the required part, the part which says the initial deposit with plan 1 would be 6 months from now. The initial deposit with plan 1 would be 6 months from now. So which means that the initial deposit of this 5,000 kwacha is being made at the end of the first 6 months. And then part A goes on to further say, calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. We can see from this that this is an ordinary annuity. That's what we're dealing with here. The reason why we're saying that this is an ordinary annuity is because the definition of an ordinary annuity says that payments or receipts are made at the end of the last cash flow period. Now that we have that settled, what's the formula for calculating an ordinary annuity? We know that the formula is simply FV, or rather future value. And then we're going to put our little n here, which just represents number of periods. We're going to have our deposit here, which is denoted by R, multiplied by our future value interest factor of an annuity, in this case, an ordinary annuity. So we're going to have our little I here, comma, n, and we're going to close bracket. If we're dealing with an annuity due, we're going to have to add a 1 plus I here at the end. But this is an ordinary annuity, so we just leave it as it is. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, when we look at our formula, what do we have? Okay, do we have our future value? No, we don't. Do we have our R? Yes, we do, which is 5,000 kwacha. So we're just going to put R here, which is 5,000 kwacha. Do we have our future value interest factor of an annuity in this case? Remember that this test came without any table, so we did not have that. So no, we do not. Do we have our interest? No, we do not. Yes, we have our interest per year, but we need to convert this to semi-annually. So we only have our interest rate per year, but we do not have our interest rate semi-annually. Okay, so do we have our number of periods? No, we do not have that as well. Okay, so let's find our interest rate. Let's find our number of periods. Let's also find what? Let's also find our future value interest factor for this annuity. Fine. So our I, remember that we've been given what? 7% per year. All right. Let's just read through what the first plan says. The first plan would have a deposit 5,000 kwacha every 6 months. Okay, so the first plan would have a deposit 5,000 kwacha every 6 months, and she would receive interest at 7% annual rate. And she would receive interest at 7% annual rate, compounded semi-annually. So we've been given as a percentage or an interest rate per year for a year, or rather, but we have not been given the interest rate for a semi-annual situation, which is what we have here. So we need to convert this interest rate per year to interest rate semi-annually. Okay, so we need to convert that. And in order for us to do that, we know that we are going to have to use our formula here, which is interest rate over number of compounding periods, which is denoted by the letter M. So number of compounded periods. So remember that under our plan 1, it says compounded semi-annually. So she would receive interest at 7% annual rate, compounded semi-annually. So if we are compounding something semi-annually, which means that we are compounding it twice. Right? There are two sets of 6 months in a year. 2 sets of 6 months in a year. And it says we're compounding semi-annually. That means that we are compounding this interest rate twice in a year. So we know that our interest rate per year is 0.07 or 7%. Okay, divided by the number of compounding periods. Remember, we are compounding twice in a year, semi-annually. So divided by 2 there. So when we divide 0.07 by 2, we're going to have 0.035. Okay, that's what we're going to have there. So this becomes our interest rate semi-annually, but we need to convert this into an interest rate for control, So if we're going to do that, okay, we're just going to multiply this 0.035 by 100%, which will give us what? Which will give us 3.5%. So we have a point here. So it will give us 3.5%. So now this 3.5% becomes our what? Becomes our interest rate semi-annually. So we found our interest rate. We are good for now. Now we need to go further and find our what? We need to go further and find our number of periods. Okay? So our number of periods. So in order for us to find our number of periods, part A says calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. All right. So calculate the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. So we know that we are making deposits twice in a year, right? Because it's semi-annually. So we're making deposits at the end of every 6 months, and there are 2 sets of 6 months in a particular year. So we're paying 5,000, we're depositing 5,000 twice in a year. We are depositing 5,000 twice in a year. So if we are going to deposit 5,000 twice in a year for a period of 10 years in total, how much are we going to have? Or how many payment periods are we going to have? Okay, so we're going to have to multiply 2, since we're making 2 deposits each year. Then we're going to multiply that by 10, right? Which is the total number of years. So we're making deposits twice in a year for a total period of 10 years. So to find the total number of payment periods or depositing periods, we're going to multiply 2 times 10, which will give us what? 20 periods. All right, so we're going to have a total of 20 periods. So we're within a space of 10 years, we're going to pay 20 times. We're going to deposit this 5,000 20 times, because we're paying it, or we're depositing it twice in a year. So if we're depositing it twice in a year for a total period of 10 years, so that's 2 times 10, it will give us 20 periods, or 20 depositing periods. I hope we've understood that. So that's our number of periods, which is 20 periods. Okay, that's that. The next thing we need to do is find our future value interest factor of our annuity. So remember that you're not given the table, right? So you are not given the table in this case. So if you're not given the table, what do you have to do to find the future value interest factor in this situation? Well, you just can't guess it, right? But you need to know what the formula. So now in this case, I'm going to have to give you the future value interest factor of an annuity formula. So the future value interest factor of an annuity is denoted, or is given by the formula, which says 1 plus I, which is our interest rate in this case, all right, to the power n, which is our number of periods, n, okay, minus 1 divided by our interest rate, which is I, okay? So the formula for the future value interest factor of an annuity is given by 1 plus I, close bracket, to the power n minus 1 divided by the interest rate, which is I. Okay, so this is basically the formula to find this future value interest factor of an annuity in a case where you are not given the table itself. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so now that we know what the formula is, we're going to have to now start substituting certain elements here in order for us to find this future value interest factor of our ordinary annuity. So we know that our interest rate in this case is 3.5%, and the number of periods is what? Is 20 periods. Okay, so we're going to get those details. So we're going to have 1 plus 0.035. Okay, we've converted the percentage into decimals. Nothing magical here. All right, to the power n. Remember that our n is equals to 20 periods. So we're going to have 20 there. Okay, minus 1 divided by what? 0, our I there, which is 0.035 or 3.5%. That's what we have here. Okay, if this is what we have here, what are we going to do next? Or what do we have to do next in this case? We're going to have to add that, the top first. So what are we going to do next? We're going to have to deal with the top part. So in order for us to deal with the top part, we're going to say, we're going to have 1.035 to the power what? To the power 20 minus 1 over 0.035. Okay? So we have that established. If we are going to simplify this further, we're going to say 1.035 to the power 20, okay, which gives us 1.989788863 minus 1 over 0.035. And just to be safe as you are doing these calculations, I think it's best to put the whole number Maybe do not try to round it off because sometimes it might give you a wrong figure. But if you want something as accurate as possible, try by all means to put the entire figure, because this will help you get closer to the answer or give you a much more accurate answer. So now that we have that, let's simplify the top part further. So we're going to subtract 1 from this figure here, and then it's going to give us 0.98978863 divided by 0.035. That's what we have there. And then when we divide that, this 0.035 into 0.98978863, okay, what are we going to have? So 0.035, we're going to have our future value interest factor of our annuity here of 28.27968,181. Okay, 28.279,8181. That's what we have there. So this is our future value interest factor. Now that we have that, we can go back. If we go back at the top here and pay attention to our formula. So now we now know what our R is, and we now know what our future value interest factor of our annuity is. Okay, so we're just going to substitute those in order for us to now find the future value of this first plan at the end of 10 years. So we're going to have future value to the power, to 20 periods. That's our little n there. So 20 periods. So future value 20 periods is equals to R. Okay, future value interest factor of an annuity, I, n. Okay, then we're going to have R there, which is denoted by what? 5,000 kwacha. Then multiplied by our 28 here, 0.27968181. That's what we have there. Okay, so if we multiply this further, if we multiply these two, we're going to get what? We're going to get kwacha 141,398, right? 398.41. All right, so we're going to get 141,000 kwacha, 398.41 gwe, or 0.41 gwe. That's what we have. And so this now becomes the future value of the first plan at the end of 10 years. That's our answer, just that. And you've gotten your 10 marks. As easy as that.
We have come to the end of the video, and if you have found everything that we have done in this class to be very valuable and helpful to you, and you'd like to have access to more content like this, well, we will be starting tuitions in financial management on the 16th of May at a very affordable student price. Our aim as tutor is to ensure that the A+ student in you is awakened, especially with exams around the corner. It's only right that you start thinking of ways of saving your CA, and this is what we're here to help you with. To sign up for the classes, you can click on the link provided in the description box below. If you cannot access it, then we have provided you with some registration links in your particular school groups which you can use to sign up. You can also contact us using the WhatsApp number that we have provided in the description box below, and we are going to basically provide you with registration links which you can use to sign up for the classes. Thank you very much, and remember, awaken the A+ student in you.
Wakona kuni lita, can you be my tutor? You about to feel like